Hey everyone, today is February 16th, 2024, and I want to do a follow-up video to my Super Bowl 58 Star Wars theme and Japanese theme. And in case you did not catch or see my community post on the morning of the 11th, and kind of going with the Star Wars theme that I had picked up on with Super Bowl 58, just shortly after I released that video, I was doing a little more thinking about all the rituals and all the things that connected to Super Bowl 58, and I was convinced by the next morning that Super Bowl 58 was going to end in a tie, and so I put this TIE fighter up, of course, as a symbolic representation of my prediction for the Super Bowl tie, and I ended up being right, and I want to show you how everything that I had talked about in my previous video kind of manifested itself. I got some really great comments on my last video that just solidified the topics and the themes that were permeating Super Bowl 58. And then I'll go back and show you 2 years ago how I did a video 2 years ago about a Super Bowl tie theme. This was for Super Bowl 56. And I'll show you how Super Bowl 58 is actually technically Super Bowl 56. So I'm just 2 years off of my Super Bowl tie theme. And I'll kind of show you how everything connects together here with these comments that I received, and a few things that I missed or didn't complete my thought on. I talked about, at about the 4-minute mark in my last video, I talked about the Georgia Guidestones. I was going to show you a connection to the Georgia Guidestones, and I never completed that thought, but the Georgia Guidestones, there was a huge connection, of course, at the end of the game, because the winning touchdown by the Chiefs was caught by Mecole Hardman, who went to high school in Elberton, Georgia, which is the location of the Guidestones. So we'll go through all that here, but I want to show you this comment here I got from Bobby Simpson the next morning, and to show you, I guess, the confirmation that there was definitely going to be a Japanese theme with the Super Bowl on that day, because it was the 326th Mercury year anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima in Japan. So let's take a look at the math here real quick. I have it up on the Gematrinator here, calculator. But if we go from the Hiroshima bombing, 8/6/1945, to the day of the Super Bowl, it was 28,678 days. And we'll just do the math real quick. 28,678 days divided by 1 Mercury year, which is 87.969 days. And we're at 326 Mercury year anniversary on the Super Bowl. So we have this Japanese theme. And it was also interesting, I just looked at a connection with, I talked about Darth Vader, and Darth Vader, his origin is a Japanese samurai. He's based on a Japanese samurai. That's what George Lucas based kind of his character on there. But James Earl Jones, I don't know if you remember this. I can't remember the date, but I did calculate it that day. But James Earl Jones signed his voice over to Reese Beecher 505 days before the Super Bowl. And that was also 505 days just happens to be the 3rd prime times the 26th prime. So 5 times 101 is 505. So there's another 326 connection. And Mercury was in Capricorn on the day of the Super Bowl, and Capricorn equals 326 in the Latin cipher. And that connects too, because I'll show you here at the end of the video, towards the end here, I'll show you the screenshots from the Georgia Guidestones bombing. It shows a silver car speeding away from the bombing, and I think that silver car represents Mercury going through Capricorn, because the bombing was on 7/6/2022, And if you know anything about Capricorn, if I can find it here, Capricorn's sigil looks like a 76, right? And there was a silver car speeding away from the scene at the Georgia Guidestones, and I think they're referring to this time frame of Mercury passing through Capricorn, and it entered Capricorn. Mercury entered Capricorn on the 4th of February, and I think it will exit on 2/20. So this whole range from 2/4 to 2/20, I think, is a huge range of potential rituals for all the guide zone connection. Just for whatever reason, this traversing of Mercury through Capricorn is a highly ritualized event for this few weeks here. But anyways, let's go back to the other information I want to show you. Okay, so Super Bowl 58 is actually and technically Super Bowl 56, because Super Bowl III was the first Super Bowl to be called a Super Bowl. So Super Bowl 1 and 2 the championships weren't called a Super Bowl. It wasn't actually called a Super Bowl until the third one. So Super Bowl 58 technically is the 56th Super Bowl. And as I showed you before, I did this Super Bowl tie theme with the golden, 2 years ago, there was a Super Bowl tie theme with the Rams and the Bengals, and I just happened to be 2 years off, because all of the tie theme manifested 2 years later, actually at the Super Bowl 56, the 56th Super Bowl. Okay, so take a look at this. This was from the morning of the 11th. I had texted this to Bobby Simpson. The 56 equals 58. 58 is the 56th championship called the Super Bowl. And in that 56 Super Bowl, LVIII, the 49ers, I talked about the Rams and the Golden Fleece. And then in Super Bowl 58, we had the 49ers, which are gold diggers, right? And I did a bit on the Golden Fleece in Super Bowl 56 with the tie theme with the Rams and the Bengals. And then also, Super Bowl 58 was, if you counted the end date, it was exactly 58 weeks after Damar Hamlin collapsed. I think he played for the Buffalo Bills, but so there was another 58 there. And the Guidestone connection, another Guidestone connection I wanted to show you, 7/4/2022 to the Super Bowl was 585 days, like a 585, forward and backward of 58. 585, an earthquake number. And the reason it's an earthquake number is Thales of Miletus is credited with the beginning of the study of seismology in 585 BC. And of course, he is also known as the guy to predict the first eclipse. He was the first guy to predict an eclipse, a solar eclipse. So that 585 is considered an earthquake number. And there were some other earthquake themes with the Super Bowl because on the 2nd, we had this plane collision on a runway in Japan, and one of the planes was headed to provide earthquake relief. And then the video of that collision featured the Star Wars paint job on one of the planes from that video. And of course, Taylor Swift, she flew in from Japan on her Falcon private jet, and the stadium was called the Death Star. I showed you the article where Pat Mahomes was compared to Darth Vader, and then that's kind of how I came up with my TIE Fighter theme that I posted on the morning of the 11th there. And then I got to watch the second half of the game, and of course I took a screenshot right away. It was tied 19-19 at the end of the game, and I just kind of had to chuckle that it actually worked out, that it was a tie. It was pretty crazy. And When I started watching the game, it was just start of the second half, and the score was 10-3, and there's a Mercury connection, like I said, with the Mercury passing through Capricorn right now, but Mercury is 103 in the ordinal cipher, and whether that was what was intentional or not, or however that worked out, but 103 is Mercury, and there was a heavy Mercury connection here because it was passing through Capricorn. Okay, what else do I have here for you guys on my slides? I made these new slides here. The Japanese connection kind of played out. They even had a commercial for the Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, advertising this new series called Shogun, right? And I had showed you in the last video that Darth Vader was based on a samurai, and then even during the commercials or during the Super Bowl, they were advertising this samurai-based series called Shogun. And I didn't catch many of the commercials, but I guess there was also a History of Volkswagen commercial, and they actually showed I don't know if you remember it, but they showed the little kid dressed as Darth Vader, and he was using the Force to start the car. And I guess they showed that in one of the Super Bowl commercials as well. So there was a small, subtle, actual nod to Darth Vader himself, but the samurai and the Japanese theme definitely playing out as well. And then, of course, at the end of the game, for the Chiefs, we had Mecole Hardman. He scored the winning touchdown with a catch, and he was from Elberton, Georgia. Or he went to high school in Elberton, Georgia, and that's the same place that the Guidestones are located, Elberton, Georgia. And the Guidestones to McCormick Place in Chicago, which I talk a lot about. McCormick Place, that's 585 miles as well. And lately there's been a McCormick theme in the news as well. And I can't remember all the connections. I'll maybe have to mention that later, but there's definitely been a McCormick theme kind of manifesting lately in the news and stuff. So that's interesting as well, being that the largest convention center in the world is in Chicago. It's called McCormick Place. And if you remember, I've also showed you guys that the McCormick Place symbol looks like the San Jacinto Monument, which in Texas, and that reflecting pool points directly to the Trinity site for the Trinity test. Anyways, let's see what other slides I have here. And then when I was watching the Super Bowl, right after they had the tie at the end of regulation, this is something I didn't know either, but the announcers said that the last time there was a tie, it was a score of 28-28 by the Falcons. The Falcons played. And we had the whole thing was about Taylor Swift flying in her private jet from Japan in her Falcon private jet to the Death Star, which was the nickname for the stadium. And then it just happened to be the last tie involved the Falcons and the Patriots. And it was a 28-28 tie. And that actually sums to 56, right, for the 56th actual Super Bowl. So I thought that was interesting as well, something I didn't know. I learned that after the fact, but absolutely syncs up perfectly to the events that played out. And then here's our 58 was 585 days after the Guidestones were taken down. And I believe if you look at the gematria for Mecole Hardman, it sums to 112, which is a mirror of 211, right? The date of the Super Bowl. So yeah, so many connections here that manifested perfectly with the Super Bowl, and then the Mercury anniversary of Hiroshima for the Japanese theme, the Darth Vader being connected to the samurai, the commercial for Shogun. I mean, everything played out. It played out perfectly. And you know that I just the morning of the Super Bowl when I posted this, I just had this feeling it was gonna be a tie after all the things that that I had shown in the past in my previous video 2 years ago with the Super Bowl 56 tie theme. I was like, I bet you it's going to be this one, because yeah, I just had that feeling. And with the TIE fighter, right, the Millennium Falcon, of course, is probably, you know, in the first Star Wars, famous for fighting with the TIE fighters, right? And the Falcon, all the Falcon theme, the Falcons were the ones who tied in the previous Super Bowl tie. So super, super interesting. Okay, let's see here. Let's take a look at those slides for the Georgia Guidestones real quick. Oh, this is not the one. So right here, I had made these slides quite a while ago. I was going to show you guys this little thing. I only made 3 slides, but so if you look at 7/6/2022, early in the morning, 4:03 and 34 seconds, we have the explosion for the Guidestones, and then we have, you know, 10 seconds later, they show the speeding car from the, you know, in the video, in the screenshot here, there's a speeding car leaving the scene. And I think that that represents Mercury, and especially connects to the Super Bowl, because we had the Super Bowl winning touchdown by a guy from Alberton. So I would watch all the way through, let's see here, all the way through the 20th, this whole time period for Mercury passing through Capricorn. And I showed you guys in another video quite a while ago that this star here, it's called Deneb Elgadai. If I can get on it here. Deneb Elgadai is called the Star of Sacrifice. So we'll have Mercury passing right directly over the Star of Sacrifice on 2/19. Interesting dates. And I showed you that Darius Rucker, he's going to be 21,100 days after his birth on 2/18. So another 2/11, because we had the Super Bowl on 2/11. Just a ton of symbolism here that manifested just absolutely perfect. And yeah, I was glad to catch it. I hope you guys kind of appreciate the how this all works out. I mean, I don't even know how is this possible that the anniversary, the Mercury anniversary of Hiroshima, and then the Super Bowl participants. I mean, everything. It's impossible for something to be planned so far back without, there's something bigger going on here for this stuff to work out. Really appreciate all the comments I got on this video, my last video. I appreciate all comments and all videos. I'm getting a lot of great comments. Super great comments, actually. And I can do a video just on just outstanding comments that I've gotten from you guys, that I've, things that I've overlooked. I mean, I can't figure and find everything out myself, but so I do appreciate all the comments that are contain, really relevant and information, especially with, the astrological calculations, astronomical calculations, and stuff like that, and the different themes. But I do appreciate the comments. I do appreciate all the thumbs up, and thanks for watching.